And we'll move on to the final question involving TJ and Josh. Stay there. Jeff Denham has rubber-stamped every action of the Trump administration. What foreign policy legislation will you champion to restore our status as a respected global leader? And we'll begin with TJ, 2 minutes.
The most obvious one would be the Paris Accords, is that we are the only country, it was recently just us in Syria, that hasn't signed on to that agreement. And sure, it might be voluntary, but it is a target for greater good about world leadership. And so, yeah, Trump hasn't led, Denham hasn't led, and the big void there is we need leadership. And I can tell you is that, I don't know if Lucy is here tonight, but who is from Liberia, from here in Tracy. But I used to work and live in Africa, and it was a fantastic place, West Africa. But because of the absence of U.S. leadership, it is being overrun by, frankly, Chinese, who've got no regard for any type of property rights, and they're completely exploiting the land. And I was mentioning this to Lucy, and she said, that's exactly right. That is what is happening to my family farm today. And it's because of the vacuum that the Trump administration has left. There's not only not people in the State Department, 2/3 of the ambassadorships haven't been filled. They took their time to fill the first ambassadorship with, Newt Gingrich's wife to the Vatican. I mean, that was outrageous. That is what their foreign policy amounts to. And so once again, they won't step up to the plate, and so Congress is going to have to.
You're right. Jeff Denham is a rubber stamp for the Trump administration on not just foreign policy, but on every single issue. Last week, he voted for a tax bill that's going to raise taxes on every lower and middle class family, almost everyone, here in the Central Valley. That is something that's not in our interest. Why is he doing that? It's pretty clear. His paycheck is being paid by special interests and the Republican Party. 70% of his fundraising comes from there. We got to make sure that we have somebody that's actually standing up for our constituents. That's why I'm not making sure that I don't accept a single dollar from a corporate PAC, because I want to make sure my interests are aligned with yours. Yes, we have got to make sure that we have a Congress that can actually hold the Trump administration accountable. I have zero faith that Jeff Denham or anybody else in the Republican Party has the backbone in order to do that. We see the implications that are happening every single day. Let's take one quick example, which is what's going on in Iran. The Trump administration, we can talk about whether the Iran deal was imperfect, maybe we could have done things a little bit better, but the deal is where it is. We already lifted sanctions. We repatriated billions and billions of dollars. We allowed the repatriation of billions of dollars to go back to Iran. Right now, the Trump administration wants to put that at risk, wants to kill the deal today. The implications of that are going to be that Iran doesn't start building a nuclear weapon in 10 more years. They're going to start today. We got to make sure that we have people in Congress that can stop that can actually uphold our international agreements and focus on the values that are necessary right here.
Thank you very much. 1 minute rebuttal, TJ.
The fact of the matter is that Trump has got to go, and we're going to make it happen. And it's going to start right here in CD10. We're going to take Trump out, we're going to take Denham out, we're going to flip the House, and we're going to bring common sense back to the government in things like foreign policy, in immigration policy, in tax policy. We have to do it. There's nothing more important to any of us than flipping the House.
Thank you.
That's exactly right. Every single thing that you've heard tonight is a clear distinction between what people like here believe and what Jeff Denham has actually voted for, right? On international affairs, where is that rubber stamp. On immigration, where he's stood time and time again against comprehensive immigration reform and against things like the DREAM Act that are so critical to us here in the Valley, and against the environment, right? He's been on record calling climate change a hoax. That's crazy. The way that we stand up for our values is we all make sure we get out there, we stick together, and we vote in November and get him out of office once and for all.